I just asked the client, you need to give me and I call it a AAA user story. AAA user story, what is that? So listen, you got something that needs to be done. That's called an action. You have an idea of who's going to do it. That's the actor. And it has an outcome, which is the achievement. So tell me the action, actor, and achievement. So you have a beginning, you have a project, and then you have an end state. And that's what you agree with contractually. We don't do that. So we're more like, well, let's take the Netflix or the Spotify model.
Okay.
You pay a fixed amount per month.
All right.
And in that month, you can use whatever application is in there. We will support it. We will implement it for you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Akram Aslam. I'm from Zoho One. Today, I'm with Matt Koopman from the Aurelian Group in the city of Sydney in Australia. We are talking about Zoho One in its podcast series called as Partner Chronicles. And today, we'll look and dive deep into one of our wonderful partners here in Sydney. We'll look deep into some implementations they've done, the customers they've worked with, things that you might find interesting and when you're looking for a solution with Zoho. So without further ado, Matt, would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you first for having me in this wonderful studio. Matt Koopman, Aurelian Group, Zoho partner since 6 years now, I think. Wow. Yeah, coming up 6 years.
Okay.
Totally built my business on Zoho. So it's there. We do nothing else.
Okay.
There's no other competing technology. We've purely focused on that. And I think that's been a very good journey, a very good choice. Not in the least bit because you guys keep just releasing new software. So there's very little bandwidth to learn anything else.
We seem to have a habit of doing that.
Yes. Yeah, you blink and, there's a new icon here. What does that do?
Well, anyway, it's great because Zoho has this capability of enormous talent within its organization. So we try to address solutions in the market that are gaps at an affordable price that people can actually attain and give the flexibility to the user to be able to solve any problem on their end. And a lot of our partners do that. And that's one of the primary reasons for this podcast, to make sure that our audience know that they can reach out to people like you. If they have a specific need and they don't know how to solve that problem, then, hey, Matt Koopman's there to save you. And that's exactly what we're here for. So as a Zoho partner, what exactly do you think it entails for you in terms of working with Zoho or working with clients and so on? Okay, so let me break it down to 3 fundamental areas for us, right?
Okay. So first of all, we got the best customers you can wish for. All our clients. It's phenomenal working with them.
Okay.
And they're all small business. So we do business with customers up to 50 employees. We don't want to go larger than that unless we get an explanation like, okay, why are you different? Because we want to work with people that actually do the job directly, right? Not employees like, I'm a subject matter expert, but I'm actually not doing the work. It's all our clients are directly impacted with whatever decisions we make during the project. So that's pillar number 1 of us. We got the best customers you can wish for.
Okay.
The loyalty to between us is quite high. Actually, very low churn. The second part of our business is actually our people. Right? We are now a team of 5. We're not huge. We are just a small boutique partner. We are exceptionally curious, not just on technology. Actually, I don't like the term IT as information technology. I don't really like it because what do you call someone that makes a table? A carpenter.
Yeah.
You have never heard of the term hammer technologist? No. So we don't call it hammer technology, right? So we make businesses work, right? So IT is a tool. It's a fantastic tool. And with Zoho, we're blessed to be using that tool. But in our team, we look at it this way. We build solutions, right? So the carpenter builds tables, cabinets, you name it, that fits in your house. We build solutions to get information from a form that it comes in into a form that you can use it at the time that you need it and transformed into something you can action, right? So we're actually more of information logistics than information technology. But information logistics, we go like, well, what is that, right? So, okay, no, it's just do solutions, right? We just help you get your business done.
Yeah.
Because none of my clients are in the IT sector.
Okay, that's
otherwise they wouldn't probably not be my clients. They do it themselves, right?
Yeah.
So if you got clients that do, for instance, NDIS, which is our disability scheme, right? So the occupational therapist or their physiotherapist, they went in that business to help other people doing therapy, right? They help other people for whatever ailments they may have. Whatever time we can save them from all the other stuff, like take any business that has an accounting package, an accountant, and maybe they have a CRM, maybe not. What do? They store all the receipts in the shoebox. At the end of the month, they have to give it to the accountant. The accountant comes back, can you put it in an Excel sheet for me, please? And then they start the whole weekend doing that stuff, right? That's the time we want to give back to our customers. Like, hey, you started this business not to do administration in the weekend. That should be done for you. Yeah. So we look at the information, you enter it once, and then it flows all through. And then you come to the third pillar. So our employees is the second pillar. They're just so curious on how businesses work and how we can make Zoho work for the businesses. And then the third pillar is Zoho itself.
Yeah.
There's, I was actually in a project this week, and every time they ask me something, I go, that seems impossible. You'll have it in 5 minutes, right? So because of course, there are things that are impossible, meaning, impossible, actually nothing, it just costs more time or money. But it's so flexible, because if this part doesn't work for that thing, you just use another tool out of your toolbox. If CRM can't do it, maybe I should use Campaign for that particular functionality. Or maybe I should have it for mass emailing for a large client group, or an email workflow that they initiated in CRM, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Your tools are so wide.
Yeah.
I now have a lot of clients in the beginning, and I have to admit, I obviously went through a learning cycle as well. Begin your small business CRM.
Yeah.
I implemented it twice for companies that actually already use CRM, just to do a complete other part of their process, right? Their sales process. They have a sales process maybe for this type of client, and a sales process for maybe their investors or whatever it is. Yeah. So there's so many tools in your tool set that it helps my people remain curious.
Yeah,
and pick up the things that they need and build stuff.
True.
And it helps our clients do what they actually initially went into business for, which is working with their customers and be more successful. So that for me is what Zoho actually means.
Yeah, but it can be complicated, right? It can be a little overwhelming. Like you mentioned, a person who builds a table is a carpenter. The carpenter needs to know, okay, these are the dimensions I need to build for a specific room that's been ordered for. Now, Zoho One has over 45 plus different apps, and not every company or every problem will be solved just by the native out-of-the-box solution. As much as flexible as it is already, that's where partners like you come in handy. So how would you say to a customer who finds Zoho One overwhelming, to feel calm and composed and not to worry?
Okay, so...
And you would have to customize it, right? So I'm just trying to see how you would do that. Probably an example.
It's a bigger question than that.
Yeah.
Because if I hire a carpenter, and I should, because I got 2 left hands. Yeah. And you think like, that should help you. You're left-handed. No, I'm terrible, right? Whatever I build, it will be crooked, off-slanted, and it will probably fall apart.
Yeah, right? You're not a carpenter.
I'm not a carpenter, so I'll hire one.
Yeah.
But what I tell my carpenter, here's the dimensions, this is what I want.
Yeah.
So our clients, they don't have to think about solutions. Now, the way that we operate is a little bit different. So normally you buy software, and then you buy the services, right? And if you buy it from the same partner, you get it in one big bid. But that's it. You have a beginning, you have a project, and then you have an end state. And that's what you agree with contractually. We don't do that. So we are more like, let's take the Netflix or the Spotify model.
Okay.
You pay a fixed amount per month.
All right.
And in that month, you can use whatever application is in there. We will support it. We will implement it for you. We will customize it for you. And if you change your mind, that's okay. There's no extra contracts. That's just part of the agreement that we have. That all ends, obviously, when your subscription ends. So we take care of the software, the implementation, the support, the maintenance, and the enhancement in that monthly fee. You go like, wow, that's great. So I do a monthly fee and can have everything. Well, we do size the fee based on your size of organization.
Yeah.
So if you're a startup, maybe it's yourself and one business partner, then obviously there's only so many things you can practically do in a month, right? So yes, we do the work. That's fine. but you still need to use the software.
Yeah.
Which means we need to train you. Which means we need to take up your time for training you in software. So that kind of is a self-limiting principle.
Yeah.
You don't have the time to constantly train for new stuff just because you can get it for a really good rate.
Yeah.
You didn't go in business to become trained in software. You went in business to do your business. You need to go out selling. You need to go out, business development. You need to build your product and all these things. Mm-hmm. So we do size our plans based on how large our customers are. So how much change can they absorb over a period? Mm-hmm. But there is no scope. So if a client calls me, can you build me this and I'll pay you? No, there's no paying extra. There's no scope. It's part, or is it in analytics? It's fine. We'll build it.
Okay.
Right. If they go like, well, I want this and this software implemented, and you go like, okay, well, we got an equivalent in Zoho One. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to buy anything else. Yeah. And it's part of your plan.
Yeah.
So we know that in the beginning when a client comes on board, we spend a little bit more time with them, right? So if I look in the first 3 or 6 months, it's not a very good deal, is it? Yeah. But then I go like, well, actually it is, because you're building a solution customer is very happy with. Yeah. But we do annual commitments. So they pay monthly, but it's an annual commitment, right? So we know that then the time will dwindle down because you're going to be very busy being successful. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's not unprofitable. I mean, in the end, if I do just pure project, I make a lot more projects, more margin, right? But the problem with pure project margin is I need then to hire a couple of salespeople and project managers. Mm-hmm. First, the salespeople need to sell the next project over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So that eats your margin away. Then I have to have a project manager, make sure that the scope is managed. That eats my margin away, right? Guess who's actually providing me that margin? That will be in the sales price that you're providing me.
Yeah, of course.
So we did a calculation with one of our clients, and he actually said, you've delivered for me CRM projects, WorkDrive integrations, right? Mm-hmm. You did it with the software included. And the yearly commitment was about half the price of what someone else offers for just a CRM implementation without the software, right? So the model works. It is, I would like to say, brilliant. Now, when I started it, no one in the world was doing this. Which can mean two things. Either it's absolutely brilliant and I'm the first one thinking of it, or it's a really dumb idea and that's why no one did it, right?
Well, if it's working, then
but 3 years later,
it's the first one. So.
Hey, we're still here.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Even though the time has been very difficult in the last few years, I mean, we had our government lockers in our homes and all that stuff, and we can go all through that. But it's we didn't grow as fast as I was hoping, but we grew every year. And I'm very much for it's okay to grow small incremental steps every year because it compound growth.
Yeah, that's actually his whole policy as well.
It's that. And I actually looked at Sridhar's video and he talked about the bootstrapping of Zoho. Yeah. And I got like, okay, I may not be as successful as Sridhar in bootstrapping, but there is zero outside capital in my business. Yeah. Right. So
that's a direct parallel from him. Then. So that's good. That's good to know. So the business model that you're taking, of course, is really unique, as you've mentioned. How would you talk to a customer when he comes up and looks at our pricing, saying we've got something called a flexible user pricing and an all employee pricing? So you use all employee in one place and flexible user in one place, and there's a reason for that, right? Now, your charges are obviously based on the number of employees they take, and you have a cap of around 50 people or so. So how would you convince them or make them help make the decision for the right plan with Zoho alongside you with your subscription model? Yeah. Because there are two different things to think about for them, right? Yeah. So what's your process like? How do you walk them through it?
It's actually not as complicated as you make it sound. It's actually really easy.
Well, I have to make it sound a little complicated so they know that you can make it sound easy. So.
It is actually really easy because in the end, it's just one figure that I charge. Okay. And that encompasses everything. And I built that figure on, yes, we do assume you're going to go all employee pricing.
Okay.
Because that's how we keep the price low. Now, if you go like, absolutely not, I don't want to pay for employees, then you go for the flexible pricing, which is fine. That's your choice. The plan will reflect that. But the flexible pricing versus all employee pricing doesn't make a lot of sense if you only want to leave out 2 or 3 employees. Yeah. Right? It's just license them, don't use them. Yeah. Right? It's up to you.
Yeah. Plus it's limiting on scale, right? Supposing if you're scaling and so on and so forth, all employees.
And why do all the other applications fail? Now, I've been in this industry for, as you probably can see on my gray hair, longer than I dare to admit. My first implementation go live was in 2003. 1993. Sorry, 30 years.
1993,
yes. I was doing, it was actually nothing major. It was just a 6-week forecasting tool for a booze manufacturer. So yes, the country will be in revolt if it wasn't there. It was in the Netherlands, by the way, not here.
Okay.
So I was actually still a student, but that was my first implementation that I was actually involved in, and obviously very junior. But what you learn is, if you have a business transformative technology, which the applications like Zoho are business transformative, right? It stops being business transformative if you do not have everyone that needs to be on that platform.
Of course,
right? So if you're having a wall-to-wall license, but say I'm only giving it to these 10 people, because CRM is only for salespeople. Well, first of all, that's wrong.
Yeah,
CRM is an organizational platform, right?
Definitely,
because
I agree with you.
It does your sales forecasting, it does your capacity forecasting, because what you're selling, let's assume that you're selling projects, right? Let's say you're a construction company. You're selling development projects, right? So what do you need to forecast? Well, obviously my money, how am I dealing with, and can I get more sales out of my salespeople? Fantastic. Where do you get your materials from? When do you need to start buying them? At what stage of your deal do you start putting in purchase orders for that? When do you need to get approvals done? When do you, how many people do you actually have that can actually put the hammer to the nail and build stuff? Because if you sell 10 projects and you have capacity for 9, that's great. Sales doesn't make you money. Invoicing makes you money.
Yeah.
Right? So CRM being a sales tool, I go like, well, that's actually fundamentally incorrect. That is a subset of what CRM does. It is in the sales department harvesting that data.
Yeah.
But if you don't use it in the rest of your organization, then what are we talking about? Why are you doing that?
Exactly.
Just get more sales. Okay, fantastic. Now I got more sales. I can't deliver. What am I going to do? Right? I sold more cars this weekend. Fantastic. You know that they're not going in the border faster. So what am I going to do? Right? So it's again, information logistics.
Yeah.
Right? We do information logistics. Bring the information that is needed to the place where it's needed in the form that it's useful. And that precludes, by the way, spreadsheets. I do have an absolute aversion to any form of spreadsheets. Because if you're running your business on spreadsheets, I wrote a blog article a couple of years ago. It's called Lies, Damn Lies, and Spreadsheets. Because spreadsheets are used to obfuscate the things you don't want to see or show your managers. Like, look at me doing well. I just change the report to what you want to see, because then my manager gets a better review. And if the manager gets a better review, I get a better review, and all that stuff. No, just have analytics in there. Where does analytics come from? CRM, books, all that stuff. And these things need to be integrated together. So back to the original question, the complexity.
Yeah.
I just asked the client, you need to give me and I call it a AAA user story. AAA user story, what is that? So listen, you got something that needs to be done. That's called an action. You have an idea of who's going to do it. That's the actor. And it has an outcome, which is the achievement. So tell me the action, actor, and achievement. And I'll work with the team, and I got a very smart team.
I bet you do.
And we will build that, and we pick out the tool set that we're going to use for it. I said, but guess what? The actor and the action, they actually may change if we find a better way of doing it, because that's how you help the business. Because if the business goes like, this is what I'm doing today, make me software to make me do exactly the same thing with your new software, then why on earth would you go on that journey?
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have some changes, but the outcome has to be the same. This is the outcome that I need to have. Why do you need to have the outcome? Well, because that feeds this process over here.
Yeah.
Or that will give me more sales, or that give me this insight. So that's how we take the complexity out. Is the clients don't have to come with me like, oh, you have 45 apps in Zoho 1. How do I decide which one I'm going to do? No.
Yeah,
Tell me the action, the actor, and the achievement.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, for instance, an e-commerce store might want to use inventory and CRM.
Yeah.
And maybe books and so on and so forth. So you'd be able to directly pull out a code by pulling out a product from inventory and then pushing it out. So the customer, you don't really need to know how the system works, as long as it works the way you want it to work, just like you said.
I treat it like my car. I have no idea how that thing works. I'm just glad it does. And I have a mechanic that can figure out if it doesn't.
All right. That's perfectly. All right, great. So this leads me to the next question, actually, because no matter how complex the implementation might end up being on your end, it has to be really simple on the customer end. But even though it's implemented, onboarding obviously becomes a challenge over a period of time, no matter what the tool is. How do you set up these onboarding sessions? Do you have an onboarding session with your client or your customer over a period of time? Or is it just in the train-the-trainer approach, like some of the other enterprises take up? I mean, how do you make sure that they're comfortable using the system?
It is something that we're actually investing more money into. Particularly, we're rolling out Trainer Central for our clients.
Oh, great. So
in our own company, right? So, yes, by the way, Trainer Central is awesome.
Yeah.
Plug. So Trainer Central is another Zoho corporation product, but not Zoho. So it's a little bit different. It's not in Zoho One, but we made an investment.
Hey, it's still part of us. So
it's still Zoho, right? Zoho. And you notice that.
Yeah.
It's just actually easy to use and easy to set up.
Yeah.
So for our larger clients, we do set that up, but say, hey, you got to provide us your process content because as much as we are your carpenter, we're not your interior designer.
Of course,
right? You need to figure out like, hey, how does it actually work for us, and we'll work with you on that. But so that's one thing that we are building out further. It also depends a lot on the culture of the client, right? And what we do not know, even though we got the best clients in the world, right? Yeah. If the culture is that the director is using it themselves and get actually ownership of like, hey, I can actually see this shine, then you see that flow through on the rest of the company as well, right? Yeah. If the director goes like, yeah, I don't like IT, I'm not using it, but this is the outcome I want to achieve. It's great, but then it depends on someone else who goes like, well, if it's not important for my boss, then it's probably not important for me. So it's kind of like cultural as well as investment from our side. Now, where I'm always shy away from is partners, and I've been in that thing when I was working obviously in a long time in the industry. If they promise you everything, we can solve all your problems. No, I can't solve your problems. Software can't solve all your problems, right? It's trade-offs. You have a solution that has a trade-off. You need to choose which trade-off you can live with, right?
Yeah.
And the same goes for training. A software partner, if they promise you, I promise you full adoption by all your users, fantastic. But they are lying. It's just, you can't promise that as an external party. You can help with tools like, how can we make it easy for you? How can we make adoption as a priority for you? But it has to come in from the organization. How strategic do you see it? And if an organization says, this is absolutely strategic and my lifeblood, where business depends on having the right information at the right time, then you'll see a bigger push for that adoption.
Yeah.
If the business goes like, yes, it's important, but I really don't want to do it myself, then actually you set the signal, it's not so important for you. And there's no amount of training you can give through it. So we're blatantly honest about what we can and cannot do.
Okay.
Right. And I think that is something that in partner land, sometimes partners find it hard to say to a client, like, actually, no, we can't do this because this is what you need to do here. We can help you. But that's it, right? You got to take ownership.
Yeah, of course. If the customer succeeds, in the end, you succeed.
Correct.
But then again, they do need some form of training, right? So you set up
technical training, absolutely.
All right,
so absolutely. You try to make it as easy as possible, right? So we walk them through, and actually they do. If it's a more complicated piece, I mean, I got customers in healthcare, customers in construction, customers in the information space. Got clients, they make coffee. I mean, talk about important with my coffee consumption during a day. That is something you don't want to see fail, right?
Yeah.
We got NGOs that are they're helping people all over the world. We got small business advisory groups. We have a very broad range of customers. It's very few customers of ours are actually in the same industry, let alone doing a similar job, right?
Yeah.
So it's for us. It's not so much as in, we will tell you how to do your job.
Yeah.
Because what do I know about construction? I just told you I had two left hands, right? We're not going to tell my customer, this is how you have to do construction. They do tell me the action, the actor, and the achievement. With their key user, if it's a larger, more complex thing, we do design the prototypes. They help us with the process. We give them advice like, hey, if you do it this way, because if you've seen enough processes over the years, and I have seen a few, you can see shortcuts, right? Like, hey, why you do this step when if you do it that step, you actually skip the next three because you have the same information.
Yeah, of course.
Got it. Right?
All right.
And then you help them, we call it increasing the run rate.
Okay.
So run rate of the business is where you're actually being productive.
Of course.
The rest of it is either water cooler time where you're just chatting or you're just busy, but it doesn't add any value to your customer because run rate adds value to your customer. Why does it add value to your customer? It's stuff you invoice for.
Yeah.
Right? Copying information from one spreadsheet to the other is not something that I would like to see on an invoice that I receive from my vendor.
Of course.
Like, oh yeah, we're going to charge you $600 because we copied all these line items from this spreadsheet. Really? What's it to me? Right? That's not my problem.
Yeah,
right?
I get it.
So we work with them, and if the process is something they go like, okay, we get the process. This is how it's going to work for us. Then the software follows itself, because that's just knowing which button to click.
Yeah.
Right. That's the easy part of training.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, you just direct them in the path that they need to take by giving them the processes that need to follow, that in your perspective is the right way for them to proceed. And again, you can't tell them how to do their construction business or their
correct. They actually supply me the process, right?
Yeah.
But then you implement. I'm always worried about implementations where you're talking to the so-called expert, but that expert never did the job.
Yeah.
And never talks to the people that do the job, because I'm much more important than that, right? Like how is that going to work?
Yeah.
So the people that I talk to are actually the ones doing the job, because they know what their current pain points are.
Yeah.
But they're also smart enough to figure out like, hey, if we change that, and I go like, isn't that easier if you do it this way? They usually come up like, it is, or oh no, if you do it that way, you miss that part, which I wouldn't know, because I'm not in that industry. You can't be an expert in every industry you go into.
No, you can't.
Right? You just can't. And you shouldn't pretend to be. So if that process starts making sense, then obviously you need to have some sort of like, okay, let's document which buttons do you press and all this stuff. And the way we document it, manuals never get read. Put up a manual and like, I didn't read it. Because people are busy.
Yeah.
So we do little videos, we do little screenshots of things. It depends again how complicated the process is.
That's good. That's going to be really helpful.
It's just something, make it easy.
But let's ask a little bit of a harder question here then. Have you had a customer that's been really annoying that you implemented a solution for, and how you handle that?
So
in terms of getting them adopted,
not in Zoho.
Not in Zoho.
No, I mean. Customers are never annoying, otherwise they're not my customers.
Okay.
Right? It's very simple, and I have the best customers in the world, hands down. If there are some customers do struggle with adoption, it's just a case of time, right? And it's not a battle that you fight every time with them. You never fight a battle with your customers. You're going to lose that.
Yeah, customers always happy, right?
On the journey.
So customers always right. In other words,
well,
supposed to be. But,
it's like the doctor, right? If you're a doctor and you go, my patient is always right. You go like, probably not the best idea for if you want a patient to be healthy. Right?
Depends on how you put it. That context is
so if the patient goes like, I really like playing Russian roulette, and the doctor goes like, well, I don't think it's beneficial for your health. Yeah, but I'm right. Yeah, go ahead, sir. It's just not working, right?
Yeah.
So we do have a principle, and we call it first do no harm. Right?
Okay.
Same as in the medical industry. First, do no harm. Do not ruin stuff that works. You have to be careful. But in the end, it's as far as adoption goes, customers are always right. You got to guide them. And also you got to respect them enough that if it's not a priority for them now, just because it is for me, doesn't mean that business who has other things than just software. Let's not forget, right? Software is just one small component of it. If you got a small rattle in your engine and then everything may be fine, it may be very annoying to me sitting next to you while you're driving. You go, I don't have time to bring it to the shop. And actually it is not that bad because I know exactly this is what's causing it and it's not serious, right? That's something that you have to respect your customer. It's their business. We can't tell them what to do. We shouldn't even try. But we should guide them to it and be ready for them whenever they are. We can't. So the one thing that I hate saying and never use, except in the context of this, is I told you so. Like, well, I told you should do that. How useful is that to anyone at that particular time? The other thing is a very not useful question. Whose fault is that? Like, who cares?
No,
right? The right questions are, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And what do we do to solve it?
Exactly.
Those are the only two questions, right? If something is happening because, we made this decision, this and this, because we thought it was like that, okay, let's address that. And maybe in some clients, it's more of a training aspect. You do situational based. That's how they learn. They don't learn from classrooms. Their mind wanders off to their projects because they're busy.
True.
Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really interesting. I have to ask you one very important question though. And considering that we are in one of your customer studios, which we'll introduce shortly. Thanks for listening to part 1 with Matt Copeland of the Aurelian Group. This is Akram Aslam signing off for now. Join us for more in part 2, where we'll hear from Mario Beckes, a valued client of MAP. Stay tuned on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.